Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
Tomorrow is opening day.
This morning, didn't have a great hunt. Deer didn't move like usual.
We just got set up in the middle of this bedding thicket. We've been saving this spot from the rut. I think it's a nice buck.
Boom! Hits a 170.
That was money. I think it's down right over there, 10 yards.
Whitetail Legacy Podcast, bringing you back to the hunt and leaving a legacy.
That OG real dream.
Episode 2, Legend of the Woods. We got a shout out for the typical fans who don't like the trash on the bases. We got a 182-inch typical coming out of what? Illinois. That's right. That's a big buck state of Illinois. You heard that right?
Illinois!
Ohio just shot a 215. We're coming with a 185 typical, 182. I'm added inches because that's what we do here at Whitetail Legacy Podcast. All right. We hope you guys enjoy this episode. This is a solid one. We go over some good tactics. I like this guy's style. We had a lot of fun in this episode. This is a buck, showed up on trail cam and got it done on just a gut feeling.
Man.
And you can
just showed up and then boom.
Make that happen. And this is a ghost. You know, he said it was 2 miles away.
I think that's how Mr. Freeze happened. Just showed up.
Just showed up. Never seen him before, never happened.
Yeah.
That was high fence.
Back to 182 typical.
Yeah. He was 2 miles away, right?
Yeah, that's what it said.
Trail cam picture of him 2 miles away. And he showed
2
up
miles
in
a creek. I got it on the notes.
Showed up on his farm in mid-October, and he's able to get it done October 26th morning. If you guys want to hear the story of how you shoot a 182-inch typical, listen on from here. We're getting to the partners to make the show possible. Start up with the VIP veteran broadhead. This is getting into the time where everybody's starting to buy broadheads, so we get a lot of messages about why we shoot the veteran, and we go on. We're going to break down the veteran piece by piece for you guys on every show and really showcase why we shoot this head.
It's going to take multiple episodes.
Yeah. So, homie.
Which sucks because it's going to take like a month to cover.
Yeah.
But
hit him with a why we shoot the veteran broadhead. One of the little pieces of why we shoot it.
So, one of the reasons is the VIP titanium tip. And then a lot of users or skeptics. Yeah, skeptics are asking for a VIP practice tip, and Matt and Cindy have delivered on that. So every new package is getting a practice tip with it, but that tip is now the same tip that you get when you put the broadhead on. Has
the same aerodynamics. And you get the 100 grain or the 175 grain.
For sure.
If you want to shoot tanks, you get the 175 grain. If you want to shoot like 223s, you get the 100 grain. So that's just one reason we shoot the veteran. There's multiple reasons. We'll go over that in future episodes.
Yeah.
You got the VIP veteran broadhead shout out over there?
Yep. The VIP veteran broadhead shout out this week is Landon Doyle. He was the sergeant for 8 years. And
he was in the Marines.
He was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. This was a Facebook shout out. If you guys want to leave a VIP shout out on our Facebook page, go ahead and message us in. We love shouting out veterans. Landon, we can't thank you enough, and appreciate the messages between us. And thank you for your service, man. From us here at Whitetail Legacy and the VIP family and Matt and Cindy. Let's get into ECW calls, all your custom call needs. I broke my slate call this year.
What are you doing with your life?
You're carrying a lot of stuff, trying to self-film. You got decoys, you got your shotgun. You fall crossing a creek on a hot gobbler. Luckily, ECW calls can take care of that in a snap. Take it there, boom, got a new custom slate made. Very reasonably priced, I might add. And then you're back in the game for next season.
For sure. I heard a gun in there.
Yeah. Scentlock. I want to cover their women's apparel. My wife wore Scentlock this season during turkey season. She actually wore the men's apparel for the turkey season, but she was very impressed by how warm it was and its flexibility in the shoulders and the arms. My wife's pregnant right now, so I got a little bigger size for her, and it fit very nice.
Late rut.
Yeah, she's New Year's Eve. Don't shoot a 190. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you need to be hunting New Year's Eve.
Yeah, you need to be hunting New Year's Eve. But my wife went out turkey hunting. She is let's see, I'm gonna mess this up. 5 months pregnant, 4.5, 5 months pregnant. So wasn't successful. Had some fun times out there in the woods with her anyways. Had made her get out of bed early a couple times. But yeah, she wore the Scentlock gear. She was super impressed with it. That was the first time she's ever been in Scentlock, so that was cool.
I would say hopefully that will encourage her to, look at the deer line for the women.
Yeah. We already talked about getting her a suit this year. She's gonna be hunting more since I'm gonna get the Cadillac blind built. And,
for sure.
And we just got a addition table for that today. The card table is in.
Right, dude. Late season. I mean, baby be 3 months old. I mean, be able to chill out for 4 hours.
Yeah, take
come
the
out for
muzzleloader out.
hunt. Yeah, exactly.
Shoot a buck over the beans. She only shoot a big buck, so we'll have to save.
I was say she is a big buck hunter.
Yeah, that's it. But she's interested in the Scentlock line. Probably gonna get her a full suit late season, so she's nice and warm. And let's get into Ingram's Outdoor Obsession. All your taxidermy needs. We got bucks up there. We got
turkeys
up there.
We got coyotes up there.
We
got minks up there.
We got minks up there. We got a fish that's about to go up there from one of our listeners.
Yeah, we got
anything your taxidermy needs, Ingram's Outdoor Obsession, Facebook, Instagram. Check them out. Let's get into this show. You don't get much bigger tipple than this, 182-inch from Illinois. This guy's got a good attitude. Pretty hilarious episode. Hope you guys enjoy it. All right, guys. Episode 2 of the Legacy series. We got Clint on from Quincy, Illinois. He's an Illinois boy. That's the big buck state. If anybody was wondering, Ohio, you are not the big buck state.
Ooh.
Wow.
Shots fired.
Yeah. Clint shot a absolute monster typical last year. 182 and some change, right?
Correct.
Man. This
Typical, clean, no junk, just purdy.
It was a typical 10, right?
Correct. Yep. Typical 10.
Man, just tine length out of this world, main beam length, beautiful. So we're going to kind of break down the story of this buck. And
You talking about him or the deer?
Well, both. I
would
mean,
say. He don't look deer.
So just kind of, tell us where you live and what you do for a living and how long you've been hunting.
All right. I'm Clint Bell from Quincy, Illinois. I work for the county down here as a paramedic. Got into deer hunting probably 10 or 12 years old. Definitely not a trophy hunter. Started off as just getting into the woods and having fun. My dad showed me pretty much what to not do to deer hunt. That was kind of my lesson. I learned how to kind of redneck deer hunt, sitting on a stump, just hanging out eating beef jerky.
No, sounds perfect.
Definitely got a little bit more intense the older I got, and had a different place to hunt, saw more deer, and realized if you did certain things different, you actually got a better chance to see deer and get lucky enough to shoot one. Got my first deer with a bow when I was 19, and it was just off to the races at that point. Fell in love with it, ended up doing a little guiding for an outfitter, met a bunch of cool people, and just went that direction and fell head over heels into outfitting and deer hunting and all that. Kind of allowed me the opportunity to, get on some better farms and be lucky enough to ultimately end up with this deer this year.
Nice. Those connections are key, man.
Yeah, you're around here and you're, not family that has land. It's really, really hard to try to get a place to deer hunt. It's tough.
Same up here, man. A lot of not so much outfitters, but just a lot of people willing to pay to hunt.
Yeah.
In the big, you can get on the small pieces, like the 20 acres and stuff, but the big ones, no, they're already spoken for 5 years,
Yeah, Yep. And I mean, again, I'm not made of money, so when they start throwing around the cash, it's nice just to have a friend. And the guy that actually leased this farm, he's from Louisiana, and we've been friends for probably 10 or 12 years. And through the connections of, him calling me up and saying, "Hey, I got this farm, I really want you to come hunt with me." And I'm, 1,000 miles away. I can't do a lot of the key things to get it set up. So that kind of makes me a bad person, I guess.
No, I mean that I would do the same thing. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
We and homies talked about that a lot. We've got
Mhm.
people that like have talked about, you guys should get a lease and have some out of staters pay for it. And I've actually had the opportunity of some North Carolina guys. My problem is I'd want to shoot the deer on it so damn bad before they got there that so before they even showed up to hunt, be like, no, there's nothing on this. 120s, 130s, that's it.
I would say, and I
We got a
mean,
pretty good agreement that, whatever happens, happens. It didn't actually turn out that way. Kind of a bad deal, all said and done. That guy hasn't talked to me in like 4 months. So,
wow.
Man, big
yeah,
deer do that. You know what I mean?
kind of sickening. The one deer that was on the farm from July all the way until, I was no longer hunting it. I had him at like 65 yards during gun season, and big old 140-inch, 10-inch brow tines, 5.5-year-old deer you dream about. And I had him, and I was like, nope, can't shoot that one. That's the other deer that I was saving for the guy. But
Nice, man.
I should have just went ahead and shot it.
Yeah. Friendships can be made and lost over deer hunting. That's 100% true.
Yep,
So,
yep. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, it is what it is. But yeah, we definitely got lucky. We found the farm, and the landowner himself was not the actual farmer. So we were able to kind of work with both of them. Cool part was the farm was in beans, and getting a new farm when it's in beans gives you a way better chance to figure out what's on it.
I believe that too.
I
You know,
did,
you
yeah.
can really get that summer intel when there's beans on there, and then it's a little easier to access where you're not bumping deer because they're not in the corn and stuff like that.
Hmm. And the landowner himself, he drives around on a side by side all the time. And I mean, we always say pressure, 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 and I'm a believer in it. But this dude rolls around, and I've got trail camera pictures of big deer 5, 10 minutes after he drove through. They didn't have any problems with it.
Yeah, I think that that deer get used to a lot of that, and then we've got to where we're starting to check trail cameras with cars and literally pull right up to the cams and then pop out. And if we can get them from the truck, we won't even get out. And then I've had deer 5 minutes on cam after I've left, and we're Illinois, a lot of people hear that and they're like, well, they're coming to the bait or something. Nope, there's no bait. This is just deer traveling through that area naturally 5 minutes after I was there. Right? And we forgot to mention this, but hey, shout out to you for being a paramedic, man. That's a good career. We got some friends
Yeah.
that are paramedics down south, and I respect that a lot. I got a brother-in-law that's paramedic, so
Huh. Well, thank you. Yeah, I love it. I wouldn't do anything else. It's been year 7 or 8 now, and I don't know. It affords me a lot of opportunities in the fall to get out and hunt. I
that's
work a
good.
lot. It kind of helps with being able to set your schedule up with weather fronts. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's nice. I know. I was a volunteer firefighter, and the cops get a lot of praise, but the paramedics are going into hardcore environments all the time. They're pulling out people that just got shot from some event. And I just think you guys should get some praise. But let's get back to the deer hunting here. So you got this new farm. It was in Beans. It was. I mean, it was down by Quincy? Is that where it was?
Yeah, it was actually right outside of a small town called Payson.
Payson.
I guess since I don't hunt there, I mean, I could almost give you the address.
You don't need to do that, but I don't. I've drove through there quite a bit traveling, but never.
No cell service.
Yeah, no cell service down there. You guys
It's terrible.
Yeah, if you don't have U.S. Cellular, you're pretty much pointless around here.
Yeah. But so it was Beans, and so when you got this property or access to it, what was your first go-to strategy of attacking it?
My definite strategy was find out what it was all on there over the past couple of years. Luckily, the guy that gave us the lease, he was a big-time gun hunter, which is very common in that area. Most everybody goes out, the Orange Army trampling through, driving draws, shooting everything that runs by. But with the way the farm was laid out, we knew that there was enough potential for the deer to shack up after, those guys went through. Pretty much got up with him. He took me a ride around on a side-by-side, pointed out some old deer stands. Never take those for granted. A lot of times finding the old wooden stand that he's like, oh, I've been hunting that for 30 years. And like, there's a reason, like they may only be in there that third weekend in November, but that stand could be awesome in late October. We let him show us around. He took us in, says, these are your access points. This is the landowner. They ended up doing a bunch of bulldozer work, cleared a bunch of trees out. There was a really bad windstorm a few years prior, and they've kind of slacked on getting it cleaned up, but this was the year they went in. And when they did it, it caused a lot of areas to get pushed back that took out crops. So he said, just to keep from, land having erosion issues and whatnot, we're going to put some food plots in. Like, we can't argue with that.
Yeah,
he said,
for sure.
I'm like, well, my goal will be to try to lure the deer in late season. So let's go with, turnips and all that fun stuff. So that guy pretty much came in, dissed the ground, seeded it, and turned it into like a food plot utopia. Like, if it wasn't for the standing beans, the green plots, everything laid out so perfect that, it was like giddy. Like, when I walked on there, I was like, this is going to be one of those farms that, you can hunt every single day on it for a week straight and never hurt anything, because there's so many different pinch points, access, every different wind is accounted for. And the way that it was structured, the guy lived in the middle of it. So it almost broke the farm in two separate farms, to where you kind of had deer on the east side that you never saw on the west side, and vice versa.
That's awesome, man. That would be really something to have that much property where you'd be like, well, I could go hunt this deer over here on this east end. I could go. That'd be epic, man.
And crazy enough, it's about 180 acres is all it was. Like,
yeah, so it's not a giant piece by any means for Illinois. Most, we just north of us, they lease 600. At one group leases 6, and to the west or west, yeah,
west.
It's like 1,600 that they lease. So.
Yeah, this is a fairly small farm for what it is, but it's the layout. Definitely, if the farm lays out right, you can kill a big deer on 20 acres, but it helps to have more, like if you want to be an active hunter and, not, sit in your truck every single day and worry about scouting and not pushing everything. It's kind of nice to be able to get out and hunt. And that was how this farm all went together. We set the cameras up, kind of set up on all the pinch points. That's kind of my strategy out there. With the way it was laid out, there wasn't really but one big block of timber. Everything else was just like funnels and pinch points between food sources. There's a couple natural springs that run right through the middle of it. So hottest part of the year, we had moving water, which was awesome.
Yeah,
so
that's key.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying with pulling up and checking the cameras, all the ones that we had, you could pull right up to on either an ATV or a vehicle. And it kind of helped us not bump everything. We use the Browning trail cameras, and I don't want to sound like I'm pushing that product, but that's kind of what we set up. It's so quick and easy to get on the tree and go. But even them, some of those big deer, when they start recording, they know they're being recorded. Like, it's almost like they don't know, the video I have of him, he stared right at that camera for probably like 2 separate videos, just staring. It's like, how do they even know that that's there? But
yeah, it makes you wonder how good they really see. Nobody absolutely knows what they see, but they can see pretty good.
You got some trail cam cameras, or bucks are like,
yeah,
I'm out, on video. So, but yeah, homie runs Browning some.
I do, yeah. I've got 2 Brownings. I couldn't tell you the model. They're a couple years old, but I bought one year just to try out, a different brand, and I loved it, so I bought another one the next year. And the only problem that I see with them is when it gets really cold, and I'm talking like -10. Other than that, the great camera.
Now, is it just your battery life when it gets really cold?
That could be it too. This year I did run the lithiums, and I had some problems when it got real hot in September, because we hung that one way down there at the creek, and I had some problems early on, but then as it went on, it kind of settled in, and then it was solid. So,
Oh.
yeah.
I think, more all the trail cams are running on the same platform. I mean, everybody's got roughly the same megapixels, the same trigger speed. It's kind of user friendly to whatever you like. I mean, if it's something you can set up quick, it's something you're comfortable with, not one of the cameras that you think it's in picture mode and it's really in video mode and you don't check it for a month and then you completely trashed your 8 gigabyte card in 2 days.
Yeah.
Like
that's key, knowing your camera to be able to figure out,
I would say that was one thing that I had done with the Browning is I'd put it in video mode. Never done that before to start the year. And then that didn't go so hot, so I went to picture mode, which had been rock solid for me. And then I did have a little less battery life at the end of that. So like you had said there, Clint, yeah, probably the battery life. But even on the other one that I had on picture mode all year, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, not saying it's a bad camera because I love it. I mean, so.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to be that guy that's going to tell you what bow and broadhead and arrow. And sound like a NASCAR racer. I'm not going to play that. But yeah, we went ahead and got all the cameras set up. And my wife's really got into hunting, which makes me happy because she moved down from Chicago and initially was not a gun owner, couldn't figure out why we had them. And now she's up to 2 deer, 3 deer that she killed. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah.
Good getting her involved. And we went out and checked the card and put it on there. And of course, the first thing we pull up, it's this big deer and it's in video mode, but it's got a circle with an exclamation mark on it.
Oh, man.
So, natural male reaction. I don't blame anybody but her. I'm like, how did you screw this up? You do something to the card? Because that's not even possible. I don't think you could do anything to a card to make it not play a video. But the whole time I'm freaking out, and all I can see is this deer that is just absolutely massive that should have a video but doesn't have a video. It's phone, it's in the iPad. I take it to the computer at the house, and all I can see is, at the time I can probably guess most everybody else's deer fairly well on size, but when it comes to what I'm hunting, I always downplay it. And I was like, man, this thing might go in the mid 60s. It might hit 170, but it's just a great deer. And out of nowhere, 4 days later, we were checking them and the video played. The moment I realized, oh my God, this isn't even fair. This thing is a lot bigger than what I thought. So that was when we realized we had something to really get excited about and start trying to figure out what we were going to do to kill this deer.
So this year is the first year that Cody and I have run, cameras together and separate. And, I've got my system that I've always ran. He's got his system that he's always ran. So I always like running the micro SD cards. And then I have the old phone I just plug it into, send them right to the phone. And then...
Garbage.
And then Cody's like, dude, I can't see anything on this bullshit phone. We need to get it on the computer. So then it's like, well, we have to have multiple cards for that. You just put it on the phone and we'll just look at it at the house. But he's like, I want to look at it right now.
Yeah.
So by mid-September, I'm dragging a laptop everywhere we got to go. So, and then
Yep.
Cody's always one to downplay how good a deer is. He's like, you have a solid mid 140s, 150, probably just pushing 140. I'm like, come on, dude. It's a little better than that.
You got to downplay them so when you shoot them, you don't get ground shrinkage. You're like, oh yeah, this is a 140, and you get up there and it's 160. You're like, yes. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's a better feeling than ooh, that's a little bit smaller than what I thought. But,
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm all about them angles too. You get an angle where it's
Oh,
right, and that buck will look just giant. But you get another angle, you're like, well, he's not that big. So
Right.
hard to tell.
the guys that are taking pictures of 120s, which, hey, if that's your trophy, by all means, but, and you're resting your elbow on its tail and you're doing
You got a long arm, man. The fish long arm game is
Yeah,
next level.
fish.
That's where it's at.
Yes. Them guys deserve some money.
Yeah. So when did you get the trail cam picture of it? The first trail cam picture of him?
The first trail was like October 20th. We got the farm. We hunted a little bit early October. It wasn't very good this year. It was kind of wet, kind of dreary, which I know some people love hunting in it, but I'm one of the unfortunate people that have to wear glasses. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but hunting in the rain with glasses, it doesn't matter your rain gear. It's miserable.
Yeah, I could
Miserable.
see that being hard.
Oh, yeah.
Hard, you know. Your glasses it's just like having a scope in the rain, you know what I mean? But you have to have a scope on all the time to be able to see. So
Yep.
I could understand that 100%. So you need to get you one of those safari caps, bro, that knocks the rain off all the way around.
It's a double-edged sword, man. Like you put on this rain gear, and then when you turn just right, because it's muggy, you end up letting some heat up your collar, and then your glasses fog, and then it's.
Oh man, yeah.
Can't win.
Yep.
Can't win.
If I'm not in a pool or the shower, being wet's not for me. So I kind of procrastinated about hunting early season, went out a couple times, saw some bucks, nothing crazy, nothing to, again, I was on there to try to help this guy get his stand set up. I mean, we ran like 14 cameras on 150 acres. Like, we knew the squirrels that were on this farm. Like, as far as we were concerned, we had everything mapped out. And then come October 20th, this guy shows up in the dead center of the farm. Never heard of him. No one's ever talked about him. We were friends with some of the neighbors. He actually passed through a couple of the guys that I know's farm. No one saw him. He was a ghost. Showed up, so we're super excited. We start making game plans. Morning of October 26th. Well, I guess we'll start October 25th. The farmer got in there and was cutting the beans. Again, if you're hunting in the Midwest and you're scared of a tractor or a combine, you haven't hunted around here long enough. I will let the combine pick the beans directly in front of me and sit and wait, because you don't care. They're going to come out after that. They're not scared of the combines and the tractors. So, we've got big hopes. You're thinking you're on this farm with this deer. Hopefully he stayed around. Didn't see him that night. Not a whole lot of movement. The farmer was able to finish up all of his crops the next day. Or that night. So we were good to go. No more tractors, no more trampling around. Start that morning at right at midnight, and I get a phone call. It's the credit card company. So I'm disoriented. It's midnight, and they're telling me that my credit card has just made a purchase at a gas station, and did I do it? And I'm thinking, man, I've bought stuff at a gas station before. I put gas in the truck last week, and I did this, and they were like, no, sir. Did you just make a purchase? It's like, oh, no. I'm in bed. That must have been my credit card was hacked. So I'm laying in bed. I'm like, man, I got to get my credit card canceled and call the bank and get all that stuff done. Then about 2:30, I finally get back to sleep. The power goes out. So my ceiling fan's out. There's a thunderstorm going crazy, lightning crashing, the whole shooting match. Is this really, is this happening? So the guy I'm hunting with, he's in the other room. I finally wake up and get everything started, and I'm like, you ready to go hunting? He's like, wait, the power's out. I've never known the power being out at our house was going to keep us from That's a bigger reason to go, because the power's out. What else are we going to do? Sit around and light a candle and tell stories? No, man, get in the truck. So, of course, he's dragging, not getting out the door fast. The farm's 20 minutes away. We're beating feet out there, and I take him to a stand that is literally the easiest stand to find. Stevie Wonder could find this stand without an issue. So we pull up on the gravel road. I point up, and I'm like, you see the outline of the biggest tree in the forest? Just walk to that tree. It's got bright eyes. It's got orange tape. It's a ladder stand. You're going to find it. He's like, all right, man, I'll see you in a little while. So the sun, pull up the gravel road, back in, throw all my stuff on, and I'm getting across the field, and it's, you don't need a flashlight. You can see. So I break over the hill, get into the ladder stand. Everything's setting up perfect. And I get a text message from him, and he says, I'm lost. First off, you should already be in the stand as long as it took you to get down here. How are you lost? He's like, well, I'm sitting on the edge of these rocks. And I'm like, I hurry up and call him. And I'm like, oh my God, don't move. there's a rock quarry on this farm with like a 70-foot drop off.
Oh my gosh.
He went like 100 yards the opposite direction and is just trampling through the woods like a bull in a china shop with no flashlight, just going to town.
Perfect.
I'm like, oh, stop, just sit down, let the sun come up all the way so you don't die. He's like, all right, man, I'll sit on this rock. I'll be good. All right. So first deer comes across the field, walks right at 20 yards, and I'm a millennial hunter, whatever. I get my phone out. Gotta send a Snapchat, like first deer of the morning coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, it'd be a lot cooler if he was that giant. And in the tree playing with my phone. I text my wife. I'm like, yeah, really getting it this morning. Sucks you're still at the house with the power off. Put the phone away and I look through the fork in the tree in front of me and I'm like, oh, good God. Put the binos up. And this deer's only at probably 65 yards, 70 yards at this point. And someday I hope you're lucky enough to see a 180-inch deer at 60 yards with a high-powered pair of binoculars.
You can't even. You can just see the brows.
They were the forks on the very front, and that's how I knew it was him, was because the forks were so pronounced. And I mean, instantly, it's your heart's beating out of your chest. You're trying to even find your bow because apparently that's the hardest thing to find in a tree. I'm freaking out, trying to get my life together, and this little buck is just scraping the tree below me, just going to town. And the big deer must have thought, hey, I need to go over and address this because I'm not going to let this little guy take over this area. So he starts walking. I grab the rangefinder and I'm hitting all my spots that I think he can walk to. And, it's like 15 yards, 5 yards, 35 yards. And I'm like, I think I've got this whipped. So I'm kind of just sitting there waiting. And all of a sudden the wind shifts from one side to the other side and then straight towards him. And I was like, that hollow feeling hits you that you're like, I'm in trouble. Like, there's no way around it that this deer is not going to smell me now. And all of a sudden he blew and he came out from behind the tree at a trot and he stopped right at 35 yards quartering away. And the past week where I set my target up at my house was 35 yards. I shot it for a week straight and I'm like, I know right where to hold on him. So I pulled back, set the pin, took a deep breath, right on exhale, touched it off. The lighted knock, not going to say a brand, flies across, disappears right into the side of him. I knew that I hit him a little bit back, but since he was quartered away, I felt fairly confident. But, hurried up, called my friend, and of course he answers, I told you I'm good. I'm sitting on this rock. And I'm like, you don't understand. I just shot him. Well, who'd you shoot? Not a person, but like a deer. Like I shot the big deer. So he's all excited and he's like, all right, come pick me up. And he's like, let's go look for him. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I have had that. I mean, like if you're a bow hunter for any period of time, you've lost a deer, you've got excited. You thought that, I don't know, that the TV show has ruined people when they think they've shot a deer. I've never had more people tell me, smoked him, double lung, and the arrow's like hanging out of the back ham. So
You have nailed that.
Yeah.
Like everybody has the slamma jamma whamma kawamma jamma, and it's like, no, man, you flat shot this thing in the front foot. So confident.
Slamma jamma kawamma slamma. I'm gonna say that next time I shoot a deer, and then AKA
Dude.
Clint Bell.
Hey, that'll be the perfect thing to say after a fake kill.
Yeah. Just
You know
slam a bama that. All right, go
gotta
ahead.
have
Sorry.
Fist pump, a bow shake, and then like some sort of goofy saying that accompanies the end of it.
Oh no, they gotta throw the bow forward like they're follow through.
Yeah.
All while whispering. That's the one part I never understood. I mean, I get it that you don't want to scare off anybody else's deer, but when you shoot a 180, everybody else can just chill out for that morning. Like,
Yeah. For sure.
so I watched him kind of take off. He stopped up on top of the hill, squared up, and was kind of looking around like he didn't really know what hit him. When you shoot a Hoyt, it just blows right through him. But
We got a Hoyt lover in this room.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he said when you shoot a Hoyt, it just blows right through him. So
Well, I mean, Not lying.
We got a horse. So he took off into what was the neighbor's farm. Like I wasn't really hunting on the edge. I was still probably 85, 90 yards from where the neighbor's property line started, but I knew it went up and it took off into this thicket. So everything's running through my mind. I know I got to wait. I got to get permission from the landowner. You know, we got to make sure everything's legal. This is one of those, like, you're just not going to break the law on this. So I shot back to the truck, drove down the road, picked him up. We were giddy. He's trying to tell me to go back and look. We head towards Quincy for breakfast because there's no way we're going back out with, you know, a liver shot. He's going to get, you know, ideally 4 to 6 hours if you can. I mean, the temps weren't too warm, but, you know, ample enough. I wasn't worried about going back in. So we went to town, got breakfast, went to the house, loaded up the four-wheeler, just took a ride, did everything we could to try to make it until noon. And we got out there, met with the landowner himself. And he's a super cool guy, like not a deer hunter in any way, shape, or form, like lives on some of the best deer ground I've ever stepped foot on. And he just doesn't care. He's like, oh yeah, they're cool. I mean, I see them all the time. They don't do anything for me. And he's like, but I'll help you go look for yours. So we start on the other side of this draw. We ended up getting a hold of the landowner. He said, yeah, man, like just all I ask is that you don't drive your pickup across the field because it's muddy, but you're more than welcome to bring your four-wheeler. So I'm like, all right. So we start on the other end of the draw and we walk all the way through it. And all I want to do is get up to the fence, find the blood, and then work back into the timber. So I'm getting up there. I'm trying to find the blood. The first time I see blood, I hear the guy, the landowner back over in the woods go, found him. Like, what? Like, there was no excitement in his voice. And I was like, what's he saying? He's like, found him. I'm a full-figured fella. I'm taking off across the field. I'm like, we got to get to this. And cutting through the brush and walk up there, and he's standing over top of him, and he's like, yeah, I've seen him for about a week. He's been hanging out down there in that low field. He's a pretty good deer, isn't he? No, it's terrible. Like, nope, smallest deer I've ever seen. This guy can't be real right now. But no, it was like this emotional roller coaster of, you know, you think you got it, you're not sure, you want to tell yourself you did, but you still want to prepare yourself for not finding it. And this guy was so cool. He had a really nice camera with him, and he pretty much just stepped back and started taking pictures.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, that was nice.
Get, like, the moment I put my hands on this deer, he captured it. And I don't know, it's one of those things where we took really good pictures of this deer. Like, we made it a point to clean him up and, you know, stage him on the field and make sure all the angles were right. Because again, once you put a knife on this deer, he's gone. You'll never get it back. And I've always been that way. I killed a really nice deer my senior year, 3 drop tines, like the kind of deer you dream about. And I have like 2 pictures of the deer. So I was like, I have to make sure that I always take really good photos. And I made sure on this was no different. So we, you know, took the good photos, but there's something about looking at those photos where the deer's not all cleaned up. There's still blood on the antlers. There's, you know, you're not repping all your hunting clothes. Like, I was out in a pair of leather boots. Like, it wasn't, you know, you trying to look like a hunter. It was this raw emotion of, holy cow, like, I'm 30 years old and I'm putting my hands on quite possibly the biggest deer I'm ever going to shoot. And it was neat to look back at the photos and see, you know, what true happiness was. And I'll never forget that moment. And, you know, I'm kind of in debt to that guy for making it possible.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's all about. It's not about, you know, pushing products or, you know, this made me get it done or this brought this deer in, you know. So for you to be able to have them raw photos is absolutely awesome. And, you know, props to that guy for just, you know, starting to take pictures of you. And, you know, one thing Cody and I don't really have growing up, and we've talked about it before on a couple episodes, is photos of us as growing up and evolving as hunters. And, you know, that's kind of one of the reasons we've started doing this, is so we can capture some of these moments that we wish we had as, you know, our 2 sons grow up or our 3 sons grow up. And, you know, maybe one day they'll want to look back and, see, well, what did I do when I was 8 years old? Well, here you go, because I captured it. So, we put some investment into some photography gear, and that's what we want to do, because that's something that we don't have to look back on. So, definitely glad that you do have that, and especially for this deer.
Yeah, props to you for slowing down and taking them picks, because a lot of people are like, yeah, I got the buck, let's get him out of the woods, let's go.
Right.
But you try so hard for that moment. That's the moment, right? Before you clean it, before everything, we are walking up on them. That's the moment, right? So you having them pictures, you're going to cherish those forever. Even though, like you said, you got a 3 drop time buck, which I seen on your social media, which is awesome, incredible deer. This one means more to you because you have all them pics. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
I mean, I was able to, share it with somebody. I don't know. It was just one of those things, like, where I look back now at the pictures and it's like, holy cow, like that really meant something to have those. And I would encourage that to anybody that deer hunts. Take the extra time to have that extra photo, or I don't know. I always tell guys that I hunt with, no, we're going to take some time to do these photos.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sent you a picture of the one, and it's just, you really can't put words to it. So I had a lot of people, like, during that time were asking, was this your dog and does? Was it, did you use anything special? Were you using doe estrus? And to be honest with you, man, it was dumb luck. It was being in the right place at the right time. It was being on a farm that even had a big deer. Now, granted, he wasn't there all year, but you don't see Bill Dance fishing in a mud puddle. Like, you kind of got to be at the right farm to get lucky. But
yeah, and that's one thing that Illinois has shifted from, is like the check-in station. Like, you would have to take your deer to a check-in station, during the gun season, and they went away with that, and now everyone just does everything online, or just calls it in, and you can't really get that hunter to hunter interaction. So you can't really get them.
Social media is a check-in station.
Yeah, social media has taken that place, and I know when my dad shot like his mid 160s, he's like, we pulled up to the back of the line, and he looked over at the guy who was driving the truck. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "We're gonna drop the tailgate, and, just do like a bypass on the opposite lane, kind of show this sucker off." And then we kind of turned back around and got it back in the back of the line after we paraded it around, and then after we put the truck in park, like, all the truck doors opened, and then everybody's at the back of the truck, and that's like the social media. Then it's just like, all right, I'm gonna hang out at the check station for 4 hours to see the giants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when I shot my triple drop there, it was the check station was still going, and I was the guy that rolled up, and it was second season, and nobody was there.
Oh man.
No, it must have been cold.
Yeah.
I waited my whole life for this, and unfortunately, that was my very first buck. So I was kind of ruined from the start that was my first deer, and no, not first deer, first antlered deer. Mm-hmm. And I roll into the check station on Friday afternoon, and I'm come on, here we go, big money. And now it's me and the lady. I was like, all right, well, this is cool.
Yeah. This is all right, dear.
And then usually, like, the lady checking in deer's like, "Well, yeah, it's a 3.5-year-old." What?
Yeah. I don't know how old this deer was. We actually had the tooth sent off. The taxidermist that I went to is a really good guy, and he said, we could sit here and debate, and there could be 3 of us, and we're all 3 going to throw out a different age. But he said the only way to truly do it is to pull a tooth, send it off, and they'll get back. They're supposed to be done in like July. So,
nice.
I mean, I don't know. I think I can safely rule out that it wasn't a 2.5.
Yeah,
but
I would say it's not a 3.5 at that size. He's 4 or 5 or 6.
Oh yeah.
Had a big body on him.
I would say at least 5.
Yeah, and for a typical to get that big, just a 180's typical is an absolute giant, so
in Illinois with no bait or it's just straight
raw dog out there.
Yeah.
That's what I like to say. The straight raw dog and no bait, no nothing. But So
Corn.
October 26th. I mean, that's pretty early. So he was with another buck, you said, and in the morning you killed him.
Yeah,
Man,
shortly after shooting light, like 7:08, 7:06
I
in the
love
morning.
that story. You got out there late. You had all that drama in the
Yeah.
beginning, and then you end up killing him. That's
Yeah,
pretty sweet.
it
So
made it even better. I mean, like this guy, he likes to hunt, but like I've never heard someone make such a dumb comment about like the power's out. I mean, if you
well,
man,
props to you for going out there after all that. You know, you got woke up in the middle of the night, then you got woke up again for
I
the
was saying, it
power
sounded like
outage.
you got about 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, you know, so I mean, you could have been like, I'll just sleep in till, we'll hunt the evening or something. But you went out and, if you wouldn't have been in that tree, what made you go to that tree? Was it trail cam pics or was it just ease of access or what it was?
I really, really liked the spot. We were looking to hang a stand, and we had one extra one. And I went to this point, and of course, when everything's in crops and you can't really cut across, and you're forced to walk around everything, 150-acre farm is pretty large when it's like 90 degrees out.
Oh, yeah,
So
it's huge.
I'm 2 foot in this thing, trying to figure out where I want to put a stand. And I looked up at this big tree, and I originally took some climbing sticks in, and that was a horrible idea. Like I put these sticks up against the tree, and it took me 2 straps to get around the base. And I was like, all right, we are overcoming adversity right now. Like this is a large tree, but we've got it. So I get the first stick set, and I start to climb up, and I can't even get enough ratchet to get the second step around. And the tree's already kind of pulling back towards me. And I was like, nope, this is a terrible idea. Like I I really want to fly in a helicopter someday, but not to the hospital. So, we're going to go with a ladder stand. Ladders are good. Everybody likes ladders. You can do them a lot safer. So we ended up throwing a 20-foot ladder that had the kick up seat. So you get the full platform,
Nice.
which, in my mind, that's just as good as a lock on. When you
Yeah.
can get the out of the way and you have a full platform to be able to do 360. And,
A lot
it
of
was just,
people talk down on ladder stands, but like if you got a big tree like that, that's the go-to. Because the only thing about a ladder stand, I think, is the cover. You have to have a little bit more cover. But if you have that big of a tree, I'm sure it was a big oak and had the limbs that stretch out, wide, or a big cottonwood, and you can get in there with a ladder stand, and the deer have no idea if your shoulders are, if the tree's wider than your shoulders.
yeah. And this had the farm is covered in that multiflora rose or whatever it's called, the bush honeysuckle people call it.
Yeah.
This farm's just covered in it. So I had to cut a trail to get to this tree, but I don't know. It's one of those setups where like when someone puts you in that tree, you want to tell them thank you repeatedly. And it was the spot that I hunted the night before, and I'm like, this just feels like a good spot. Like it's in, it connects this huge block of timber to the north that he actually went up and died in. All the funnels lead to this one little section, and I was kind of thinking more of an afternoon spot, but with the morning, I'm like, yeah, I'm already kind of running late. Let's just jump in this over here, and we shouldn't bump anything out. And
Sometimes going with your gut's key. The buck I shot this year, me and homie had a long talk of what stand I was going to, and I went with my gut, and it paid off. So sometimes going with your gut is key. I'm a big on confidence, so I was more confident in that stand. I already had it set for a double set. It was just going to play out better. And that's exactly what you said, Well, I got easy access here. I'm running a little late. I'm going to go with my gut, go to the stand. Boom, I drop a 180s typical. You know what I mean? So, but you knew the deer was there. You put the homework in, hanging a stand at a pinch point. October 25th is about when we start hunting mornings. But for you right at sun. So he must have been bedding pretty close to there somewhere.
yeah, I don't know if he was down in like the lower field because there's a really good low field that this farm has, and I don't know if he was just out there feeding all night in our other green field and then was just working his way back to bed and stayed out too late. Nothing good happens when you stay out late at night, and
That's true.
it didn't play out for him. I mean, this was the 7 a.m. DUI checkpoint, and he did.
Oh, wow.
Got him.
Yeah, poor fella. But I mean, like I said, I can't really give you guys too much insight into saying that I've had this deer for 3 years. I've had trail cam pictures, and I didn't get a hold up any cool sheds when I killed him. But I did get a hold of some people in the area. I kind of started throwing out some feelers as to like, where did this guy come from? And a guy sent me a message on Facebook and was like, did you kill this deer outside of Payson? And of course, I still was able to hunt there at this point. So it's like, well, I don't know, maybe. And he's like, well, I got a cattle farm straight south of there. He goes, I'm pretty sure that lived on me all summer. And he, described the deer really well. And what happened was, I think this deer traveled over 2 miles in one of the creeks that leads from his place to my place. I got one other guy that got a trail cam picture of him between where I killed him and where this guy thinks he was at all summer. And that's the only evidence I've been able to dig up on people saying, yeah, I've seen this deer. No, I haven't. Or, I mean, that's all I've got is one crappy trail cam photo and one cattle farmer that absolutely swears he saw that deer all summer.
Man, that's pretty cool. I mean, October 26th, so I mean, I don't think that they'd be traveling, too far just yet, but they would definitely be on the brim of starting to travel, and I mean, for just a couple people to be able to see that deer, I mean, I guess it just depends on how the property lays.
Yeah. I mean, it's fairly thick. You have quite a bit of cover to hide in, but I mean, that's all I got to go on is where he came. And, a select number of, people were say, yeah, I think I got him on my trail camera. And, what I was only thinking is maybe he was in a good bachelor group down there and he may not have been the big, or not the big one, but the dominant. There could have been an older, more dominant deer that just pushed him away, and I just got headed my way.
So I'm more interested in like previous years. Do you think he might have just been like a subliminal, 8 or 10 the previous year, and then all of a sudden this year he just like blew up for some unknown reason?
Yeah, I mean, they'll talk about deer gaining 30 and 40 inches. So maybe he was a 160-10 last year and just was able to throw on an extra 20, which definitely is possible. If,
Yeah.
He had the genetics and nutrition. And I'd say we had a pretty good growing season. Like our spring and summer wasn't terrible. We didn't have too many hot days last year. I mean, there were some reports of EHD or, dead deer being found, which one guy finds one deer and by the end of the week, it's 50 deer, EHD's taken over, the herd's going to die. And
Yeah.
It runs around here.
One thing I was thinking was, I mean, he might have traveled pretty far, but with you guys putting all that food plot work in, I'm thinking maybe that had a key, maybe he was coming through there after he shed velvet and he was like, whoa, there's a lot of food here. All right, I'm going to hang out. And then he realized, well, there's a lot of does here, and those food plots might have been key in making that deer stay on that property.
Yeah. And we went out there late season. I was able to shed hunt it. And there was a half acre of beans that we left standing. And it was neat to go out and see every single stalk with not a single bean on it. Like it was just like the weirdest thing to see a half acre of beans and not a bean there.
Yeah, that's cool though. That you gave a lot of nutrients to deer, so.
When they needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, our polar vortex.
Yeah, we had a hell of a winter this year, so.
A lot of snow. It was weird to say. We had snow over 6 months because it happened during first gun, and that's November 15th or whatever. And then we got snow April 16th.
Yeah.
Well, it only snowed because Cody shot Mr. Freeze. And then it started snowing.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. Don't name a deer Mr. Freeze. It's bad. Bad winter.
But, I'm just more like, I mean, even a 160 running around to throw on 20 inches, I mean, do you think it's possible he was like a 140, a mid 130 and just exploded? For nobody to like really, I mean, because if he was going to be a 150, he's going to be pretty.
If there's a 150 on my property, I know he's there.
Exactly.
And he's on my radar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then he would have the same frame because that deer is so clean and so typical. he's going to have
Yeah.
that same frame. So, do you think he was maybe like a 135 and then just went straight up?
I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see his actual age.
Yeah, that'd be cool to figure out
Yeah.
his actual. You have to text me his actual age because
I
me and
was
homie like to know that kind of stuff. It's cool to
Yeah.
put the pieces together on deer, but they don't get much bigger and typical than that.
No.
I mean, just tine length for days, main beam
Clean.
length for days, clean. So
The first time we scored him, which again, I'm no professional scorer, we roughed it, and the first number that came out, I was like, nope, that's not true. Nope. Nope. And I got a hold of the Boone and Crockett score from down over in Mount Sterling, and he said, yeah, man, 60 days will be right after Christmas. Just go ahead and bring him over, and we'll do it officially. And super nice guy, taped it all out, and he slid the numbers over, and I was like, wow, okay. Like, I don't like nets. I hate that net is even a thing. But that's what I guess will be in the record books will be net. But as far as I'm concerned, gross counts. He's only got 10 points. He wasn't 27.
10 points. He's only got 10 points. This is ridiculous. Yeah, nets are for fish, just like you said. That's what I always say too. How many inches did he have on his head? That's what I want to know. You know what I mean? But
How many?
when we scored ours,
yeah,
we were like 30 bush lights deep, but we scored it like 10 inches bigger. So it's 3 bush lights per inch.
That's what I was going to ask. I was like, how many did you score it to the actual deal?
Say what now?
Well, so when you taped it out, just kind of trying to get an eyeball on him, what was your score compared to what Boone and Crockett said?
I roughed him at 187.
Okay, so yeah, about the same.
Yeah,
so,
we added
so
about.
you were drinking just as much as we were.
You added about 7 inches. We added about 7
Yeah.
inches when we did ours. So, because it was like 199 and 4/8. I was like, what the? Come on, bro.
Right.
I was only at like 5 or 6 bush lights. I was still solid enough to make an accurate number, but I don't know. The green score, and then you have to let it dry.
Yeah.
And I was pretty fortunate. The taxidermist, I was like, hey, I'm going to come by and grab that deer and score it. And he's like, you're not coming in and out of my house like a kid. Take me in, leave them until you're done, and then come back and, bring them to me. So I was lucky enough to get a bobcat the year prior. So when he called and said the bobcat was done, I took the antlers back out and told Mike goodbye, and that I'd see him in the first week of June. So
That's pretty sweet. You got a bobcat.
Yeah. I could have got a bobcat that year.
Yeah, you need to get a tag this year.
No.
I got
messing around.
2 years in a row. I got one the first year, and we ended up, a buddy of mine, he likes to trap. Again, I'm not going to pretend that I was the ultimate hunter on this. I had the bobcat on trail camera all year. I said he was working this waterway. He set up a trap, got him the first night, and he was 29.5 pounds.
That's a pretty big cat.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think the one I would have shot would maybe have been 10. It was like a house cat almost.
Yeah, we just got a house cat whenever I shot that bobcat. So me and Oscar had to go out and have a coming to Jesus as to how litter was going to go, and and he's been a great cat. I actually call him Small Dog because he's so well behaved. I think that little interaction that we did out in the backyard was, I would recommend if anybody's getting a cat, start off with, a bobcat hanging in your tree.
Yeah, you see that cat? That was the last cat that came in my house. Don't mess up.
Right. Oh, jeez. No, I don't like cats. I don't like. While we're in Oklahoma, Matt shot a tomcat right in the face that was humping this other cat because there's too many kittens.
Oh yeah,
it was epic.
No, I wasn't a cat guy, and then I got that, and I don't know. The wife's been very fortunate with letting me have way too many animals in the house.
I would say it. I don't know how they do it, but it happens.
yeah, for sure.
But there's definitely not a cat coming in my house. I know that. I mean, dogs is okay. Cats, no.
I got an outside cat. But how'd this go from deer hunting to cat talk? Yeah, this is the Whitetail Cat Podcast.
It's a sportsman's group. Everybody gets together.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah. The beer tower's getting too tall. Shut her down talking about cats.
I'm gonna be a little bit pissed if you guys are drinking beer and I'm stuck here at work. Like that's not.
I'm
Oh,
not
no,
going to
never.
say we are, but I'm
Never.
very well hydrated.
This 7-Up is killing it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so he should be done the first weekend of June. Like we move into our new house the end of the month, and then we're gonna have the arrival of the big deer. I'm pretty excited about that, and finally getting to see him done right with the taxidermy and all that.
Nice.
There's some
Well,
thing
you,
in Bloomington, the Deers and Beers Fest or whatever they're calling it.
Oh, yeah, Bloomington?
really?
Yeah.
So I talked to somebody from there, and I think I'm going to haul up a couple of my deer. So it'll kind
Nice.
of be like a chat station again, where everybody can actually get together and talk.
I'll probably be up there scoping around, sniffing out the talent, sniffing out the 180 typicals, if you know what I mean.
That would be nice. You come over and say hi. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
you got a good floor register you're going to put him by?
A good what?
Floor register? I mean, you're going to have to hang him on the ground.
Yeah, I got a pedestal. The wife's dad's building it for me.
You got tall ceilings?
Ooh, yeah. Let's say you're going to need vaulted ceilings.
Yeah, I'm concerned about how big it's actually going to be, and I don't want to sound like I'm gloating, but like I am kind of worried. Like the pedestal's 3 feet tall, and the average mount is like 2.5 feet, and then his G2 is 16 inches tall.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, it's
going to look like he's on the wall instead of on the floor.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's going to be sweet, though.
Yeah, I won't be upset. It's definitely been a wild to start off with.
I'd be real upset it wasn't 17 inches, but that no, it's 16-inch twos. They don't get no bigger. That's like the limit. You've reached the limit.
There's only so many months they can grow.
Yeah, for sure.
It's already getting exciting. They've got cameras out now, and already seeing a couple new bucks pop up, and they're already starting their initial frame. So
yeah, it's always fun when you're trying to fill them out this early. You're like, I don't really know if it's gonna be good. Looks good. Always got high hopes. So.
You're always guessing like, well, I think that might be that buck.
Yeah,
from last
yeah.
year.
That brow looks a little curvy like that.
I think there's only one deer that somebody sent me a picture that I could be like, yeah, that's the deer from last year.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think this year. I mean, it's what do you do next? I mean, take up duck hunting. Like I don't know what.
Just keep shooting 140s. That's what I'm gonna do.
Well, get some hogs.
Yeah.
Clean the slate. No, I've always tried to shoot for age. The past 4 or 5 years, it's been really exciting to try to take a deer that's a little older. The rack size always a trophy, but to me, I don't know. You get that older deer, and it takes a little bit more work, a little bit of time to put in there, and I don't know. Get your phone out, take a picture of the smaller deer. That's a lot more fun. Shooting them every day. I mean, you're only I don't know. Like after I shot this one, I did another day. That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never even went back in the woods to bow hunt, even for a doe. Like I was just so, I don't know. After that, it's like I put the bow down for the year, and now it's end of May, and I'm chomping at the bit.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So
Right.
we
Screwed up, but.
All right, man. Well, I think we're going to end it here. Thanks for coming down and telling your story of your Legend of the Woods, the 180-inch typical from West Quincy, Illinois. Shouting out Illinois here.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a great night, and thanks for having me on.
No,
go ahead.
I was usually I let you close it out, but I thought you was holding back there. But I liked how he got the permission to this property, and then really thought about the access to the stands, and then really took the time to slow down and enjoy the moment after he got the deer down.
Yeah, I really like how he did. He said he enjoyed the moment. He shouted that out in the episode, like we say all the time. Slow down, take them pics, absorb them memories, get other people involved in it. That was an awesome topic. I also like how he went with his gut on this.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's the best thing to do is to go with your gut, and he shouts out this isn't a buck that he had a bunch of history with, but he went with his gut on a hunt that a lot of people would have stayed home on that day, and he went out and got it done on a legendary whitetail, a legend of the woods cruising around 182-inch typical with 16-inch G2s. They don't get much bigger than that. So we hope to meet this guy in Bloomington this year. I got his number now, so he can't get away from me. So I'll meet up with him sometime. But We got a lot more coming of the Legend of the Woods series, and we hope you guys are enjoying this. If you are enjoying this, leave a comment, leave a review, subscribe to the podcast, iTunes. We would love a review on there or a rating. Get out there and try to leave a legacy, whether it's anything. I mean, teach someone how to shoot a bow, teach someone how to age a deer, anything like that.
Shoot some trap.
Yep, shoot some trap.
Shot some trap in Oklahoma. Shoot it.
And Whitetail Legacy's out.